as we await Todd Monken's deal to become official, and shortly after that, John Harbaugh is going to end up getting his contract extension too. The Baltimore Ravens said, you know what? We got some other business that we want to take care of, and we got a familiar face that we want to bring back in the building. Team, keep it clean. Let's get into it. Before we do, make sure you leave a like on the video because it helps out the channel a ton, and y'all have been doing that, so thank you. And also subscribe to the channel and turn the notifications on so you can stay up with everything that goes down with our Baltimore Ravens. Let's read this report from Tom Pelissero. It says, longtime NFL coach Chuck Pagano is coming out of retirement to join the Ravens as their senior secondary coach, per sources. Say it's a reunion with John Harbaugh, who hired Pagano to his first staff in 2008. 17 years. John Harbaugh been with the Ravens for 17 years. That's a long time. But anyway, 17 years later, Pagano, now 64 years old, is back in Baltimore. Says John Harbaugh's original secondary coach in Baltimore was Chuck Pagano. Harbaugh's new senior secondary coach in Baltimore is Chuck Pagano. Pretty cool way for Pagano, who is the former Colts head coach, who was last the Bears defensive coordinator in 2020. I did not realize that, to return to the NFL. And yeah, Chuck Pagano is somebody who spent some time when Harbaugh was a rookie head coach. He hired Chuck Pagano and put him on, brought him up. And then eventually Chuck Pagano moved on out and became a head coach because from 2008 to 2010, he was the Baltimore Ravens secondary coach. And then in 2011, he was the Ravens defensive coordinator. And you know what goes down when you're a Ravens defensive coordinator and you do pretty good. It's a guarantee pretty much that you are going to become a head coach. We done seen it happen a million times, and it's still going to continue to happen for sure. But shout out to Chuck Pagano because that's when he went in 2012. He went to go become the Colts head coach, and he drafted Andrew Luck. And that started something that was nice, and y'all know the rest of the story. But anyway, now he is back in the building as a secondary coach. Now, a senior secondary coach, when I first saw this, I was thinking, very, very interesting move by the Baltimore Ravens. But I wonder if they're just setting this up. I feel like this, in my opinion, it's a move for the future. It is kind of a move for right here, right now, but I think this is really a move for the future because maybe the Baltimore Ravens are just trying to get ahead of things a bit. And what I mean when I say that, Zach Orr, rookie defensive coordinator this season, had never had any experience whatsoever being a defensive coordinator at all. What happened this year? It started off rough, very, very rough. And then Marlon Humphrey will continue to say, hey, it's not the coach. It's not the scheme. It's on us, the players. I thought he was just talking. I thought he was just running his mouth. I'm like, Marlo, love you, but I don't believe you. What happened? The Ravens, they made some changes with the players, some significant changes, and everything got better like that. So Zach Orr, he continued to do his thing, and he just looks so much better. The defense looks so much better. So Zach Orr, as a defensive coordinator, that really made him look what? So much better. Now Zach Orr will be going into his second year as a defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Remember what we talked about earlier? If you're a defensive coordinator for the Ravens and you do a really good job, you ain't even got to be great. You could just be good. And I mean, good is still pretty good, but you do a good enough job, you're going to be a head coach. What I think, and it may sound premature to a lot of y'all, but hey, that's cool. Hey, wasn't Mike McDonald, wasn't his first time being a defensive coordinator in the NFL for the Baltimore Ravens? I'm pretty sure it was. I know he was a defensive coordinator in college for Michigan, but first time in the NFL, I believe it was for the Ravens. And look what happened to him after 2 years being a defensive coordinator. So with Zach Orr, that's what this Chuck Pagano move seems to me. It seems like they're trying to get ahead of the curve for if and when Zach Orr ends up leaving to me. And if it's not that, it's got something to do with the future move. Because I don't think they just bring in Chuck Pagano on just be, Chuck Pagano, come on, we'll bring you on. Now the NFL, of course, and this is a lot of stuff to do with life in general, it's all about who you know. It's all about not burning bridges and keeping relationships good. And obviously John Harbaugh and Chuck Pagano, their relationship is still good because John Harbaugh is putting them on right now. He's giving them an opportunity. And if Harbaugh likes you, hashtag hood Harbaugh, we ain't forget. But if Harbaugh likes you, if you cool, Harbaugh gonna put you on, man. He really gonna put you on. He do not forget about his people at all. He will provide you with an opportunity. And if they do not have a current opening for a position, John Harbaugh, he will make up a position. And all you gotta do to make up a position, you put senior on the front of it. What people gonna say? What they gonna say? Senior. Because and that senior, it just looks so pretty too, right? But shout out to Chuck Pagano, man. We're glad that he's back in the building, and hopefully with him, the experience that he has, especially with the Baltimore Ravens alone, having been around for guys like Ed Reed. Now, I know we don't have an Ed Reed on the team. There is nobody and will never be anybody like Ed Reed. But for him having the experience, having been around Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, having been around so many great defensive players, and I know he's going to be a senior secondary coach, but hopefully all the knowledge that he's taken in, both on offense and defense, because again, he was a head coach for the Colts, and they had some success with him. But with all the knowledge that he's gained over the years, hopefully he can implement some of that knowledge into this Baltimore Ravens defense to make them that much better. Team Keep It Clean. We done reached my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. If you would like to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com, or for the Team Keep It Clean patrons, you can send your question in a DM directly on Patreon. And if you would like to join them, you can go to patreon.com/Ingravenvids. Now, first question came from Mars Rose. Said, is Harbaugh really the issue? This should be a fun one. Said, hey, Ingraven, feels good to be typing this from the same sofa Buffalo is sitting on right now. Hope your conference championship weekend went well. It was fun. Watching Buffalo lose was the highlight of it, and we loved it. Anyway, he said, I tried to make this short, but I have too many thoughts. LOL, sorry in advance. I don't think Harbaugh is our issue. We lost against KC because of 2 key turnovers. We lost against Buffalo because of 3 key turnovers. I know you can do practice drills and different stuff to coach away turnovers. Ravens have been known for this under Harbaugh, though. That's why if you fumble a kickoff, you most likely don't get to do kickoffs again that week. It's why guys like Melvin Gordon never stuck around. Seems a lot of fans are under the impression that turnovers are on Harbaugh. But if that's the case, why do we not give him any credit for limiting Lamar's turnovers all season? I like how you phrase that. I like how you put that. As far as, with turnovers, Harbaugh, he doesn't control turnovers, and no coach is going to be like, hey, go over there and turn the ball over. It's important that you do what you can. You can't do everything to eliminate turnovers. You can do everything possible to try to coach your team to, hey, stay away from turnovers. Don't force this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do this when this happens. Do that when that. You could coach all that stuff, but when that game is live, stuff happens sometimes. And that has been a big Achilles heel with the Baltimore Ravens, especially in playoff time, has been the turnovers, man. They've been really, really bad. Anyway, he says, seems the losses we have are always due to giving the ball up. We can probably find examples of this in all 6 losses we had this season. Also, Harbaugh isn't a special teams guy. He has a special teams coordinator. We used to have one of the best, actually. He retired, if I'm correct, in the last season or 2. Oh, you talking about Jerry Rossberg? I think that was him. I think that's what you're talking about. Anyway, he said Harbaugh is the one that coached Mike McDonald up through the ranks before becoming a defensive coordinator. Or also credits Harbaugh for getting him in the building post-retirement. See, we were just talking about Harbaugh be putting people on there. You could say what you want about Harbaugh, but you could never say that he don't put his people on. Anyway, continuing. He said, Harbaugh brought in Greg Roman. Had issues, but we had success under him still. He brought in Todd Monk, and he has been the one bringing in these positional coaches. Every team wants to be their next coordinator too. And in a lot of times, their next head coach as well. because he obviously, we just talked about Mike McDonald and you brought him up too. Guys like Chuck Pagano, who we just talked about at the beginning of the video, he became a head coach. Anthony Weaver, he used to play for the Ravens, but they brought him in. He was a defensive line coach for the Baltimore Ravens, went to Miami Dolphins, became a defensive coordinator. And again, with Zach Orr, we already know his story. So yeah, Harbaugh does a great job with filling the staff and then getting the staff opportunities elsewhere too to continue to move up. Anyway, continuing, he said, I don't know a single reason to fire Harbaugh aside from fans not being able to emotionally move on from this loss and feeling like they don't even want to pay attention to the team unless the guy they found a reason to blame for everything gets fired. I get the anger and I want to sympathize, but if Harbaugh gets fired, every little thing this fan base takes for granted, like making the playoffs every season, having consistently good coordinators and position coaches, having a world-renowned scouting department that the Eagles, for example, kept taking people from. A bad head coach can't use timeouts right, doesn't know how to limit his power and let other people under him shine, and blames others for the loss. I get that we all want the next Andy Reid, but we need to look to the other side of this talking point. Real quick before we continue, because he got a lot more to say. He did say this was going to be a long one, so this is a fun way to start off though. He said, I don't know a single reason to fire Harbaugh aside from fans not being able to emotionally move on from this loss. I don't even think it's that. It's not even this loss. And like I said in the video that we put out yesterday, this loss was not on Harbaugh. It wasn't. I know there's some little things here and there that you can say, oh, well, this is Harbaugh's fault, and it could be. But this loss overall, it's not on Harbaugh. Harbaugh did not have a poorly coached game. He did not waste timeouts. He did not. This loss was on the players. That's how I feel about it. But my thing is, Ravens just seem to be stuck in limbo right now. They seem to be stuck in this weird place as a team. And I feel like what's gonna give? What's gonna give? How can Ravens get over this hump? If they have the same person in leadership. Is Harbaugh a bad leader? No. Is Harbaugh a bad coach? No. He's not at all. He's definitely not. Harbaugh's a pretty good coach, but it just seems like the Ravens have just hit a stalemate where they can't go any further. That's what it seems like. Obviously, I would hope to be wrong. I don't want them to just be stuck where they are right now, but we brought in different people. They've had different people on the coaching staff, different offensive coordinators, different defensive coordinators, different playmakers here, different players there. But they just have not been able to move forward. That's the frustrating thing with them. They haven't been able to move forward. Again, is Harbaugh a good coach? Yes. Does he have a lot of regular season success? Yes. And they've even had some postseason success, but obviously not enough to get to the Super Bowl. And it just feels like the Ravens are just stuck. That's my thing. They just seem stuck. And that's why I said a breath of fresh air could be great for both sides. For John Harbaugh, for the Baltimore Ravens, it could be great for both sides, in my opinion. So, and again, I'm not here to say, oh, fire Harbaugh, he sucks, he's terrible. Because I don't think he's terrible at all. Because he's not. Does he have his issues? Yeah, he does. He certainly does. But is he this terrible bum garbage head coach? No, he's not at all. But that doesn't mean that it ain't in it ain't in the best interest of both parties' favors to move on. So I know it's not gonna happen. I know it's not gonna happen already. We knew that going into the season. We knew that coming out of the season. But I just feel like how do the Ravens get past this where they are right now? What do they need to do to get past? What, they bring in another playmaker? They could do, and I won't have no problem with them doing that. I go for it. But what's it gonna take for them to get over this hump, get through this standstill that the Ravens seem to be in right now? It's really weird. They're in a weird spot. But that's how I feel about it. Anyway, he said, Sean McDermott, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Mike Tomlin, Zach Taylor, Kevin Stefanski, all great head coaches. None of them are on the hot seat over playoff losses. Tomlin comes the closest because he hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. Ravens fans, why did the Bills lose against KC? Why did Detroit lose against Washington? Were their coaches terrible, or did their teams lack execution in key moments? Players deserve respect, but if you see turnovers on the field and jump to put that on Harbs, I don't think we're watching the same game. When Harbaugh loses us a game by not taking timeouts, when Harbaugh has us missing the playoffs with a healthy team 2015, 2021, 2022, we led the league in injuries. I'll start wanting him gone. Till then, I don't get it. Constantly competing, but Super Bowl or bust. This urgency feels like a fan base that can't tolerate a loss, not like a fan base that expects success. That part I disagree with. That some of the beginning part that you said, I agree with. The next part that you said, constantly competing, but Super Bowl or bust. This urgency feels like a fan base that can't tolerate a loss, not like a fan base that expects success. No, I disagree with that part because we do expect success. Because this team, there've been some really good teams that have been put together, really good teams, and we just keep coming up short. There were before in the past it was a lot that had to do with coaching. It was a lot that had to do with the game plans and whatnot. In 2018, I would definitely say coaching. In 2019, I was coaching as well. And then there was a player just dropping literally everything too. Then in 2020, then Lamar got hurt. So that was that. So that I can't put that on nobody because he got hurt. 2023, I'll say coaching. 2024, I would say that's the players. Because of course 2021 and 22, that's when Lamar. That's when he got hurt, but I told you I already think that. I think that was contract disputes, but why he didn't play. But anyway, but Ravens just we expect success. Yes, they haven't had success. No, they haven't had it. They haven't had the ultimate success. I mean, they've obviously had plenty of success, but it's been limited success, and we're wondering why it's been so limited for so long. That's why I think again a breath of fresh air would be nice for both parties. But anyway, he said, we are the team being poached for talent. Most years, none of the coaches we lost last season even made the playoffs, and we will struggle to find a head coach that can run the organization as well as Harbaugh. See, I don't think we can say that. You won't know until you try. In my opinion, and I get what you said, Harbaugh been here for 17 years. I ain't really 17, that's a long time. But it's like, all right, if you've been at a job for 17 years and you done got a couple of promotions, but you ain't got that promotion that you really been waiting on and really been hoping for. You're like, oh man, I really want that promotion bad, but it ain't come to me yet. And you still stay at that same job. But then there's another job, another potential opportunity for you. But you're like, man, but I've been at this job for 17 years. I don't know if I can go over there and have success. I don't know if I can do it. I got a lot of experience doing this for a long time. I got with it, but I don't know if I can go over there. You won't know till you try. You really won't. Could you go over there and come up short? Yeah, it's a real possibility. Could you go over there and thrive? Yeah, it's a real possibility. So this is just one of those things where we really won't know until we know. The way I feel about it, the way this team is constructed, and we said this before, I feel like it would be very tough for a head coach to come into Baltimore and fail with the Baltimore Ravens, with that team. I feel like it would be very hard with the players that they got. It would be very hard for them to fail, like to just outright be bad if they do have health, of course. It would be very, very tough for that coach to fail. Because you got the Lamar, you could have Derrick Henry, you had Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, Matt Abike, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, like Ardarius Washington, Travis Jones, like it's Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, you got Rashad Bates, Zay Flout, like you got some guys, man. You really do. And obviously you would have to implement your system, implement your scheme, implement this and that and third. But I just feel like it would be so hard for somebody to come in and fail with the Baltimore Ravens. I feel like it would almost be doing a disservice saying, oh, well, if somebody else came in, then they wouldn't be as good as Harbaugh. We wouldn't know until they actually got a shot. Again, we know it's not going to happen, but we wouldn't know until they actually got a shot. I'm sure that there were a lot of Philadelphia fans, a lot of Eagles fans who said, man, Andy Reid, man, we done won so many NFC East titles. We done made it to all these NFC championships. We even made it to the Super Bowl. I don't know, like, who's going to be able to get past that success? What coach is going to be able to come in here and be able to, and obviously not everybody's Andy Reid. I get that. And you mentioned that earlier. But they tried it. And what happened? It worked out. And they got a chance in about a week and a half for it to work out even more. So it's and Andy Reid, he went over there. He had a bunch of success too. So it worked out for both sides. Now, is that every story? No, it's not. But for the Baltimore Ravens, they just been stuck here in the same position for a long time. So I don't know. Maybe they need somebody else to finish their story. I don't know. Maybe not. Hey, anyway, he said, if EDC has to step up and focus on more because a new head coach isn't as capable of helping run the scouting and hiring processes, we may even see less quality draft classes as his workload grows to accommodate the new coach. Plus, guys, I have to point out there are positions on the coaching staff that never get smoke. When is the last time y'all heard the name Sashi Brown or George Kokinis or Chris Hewitt or Mark Azevedo? Now, the first three, Sashi Brown, George Kokinis, and Chris Hewitt, yeah, I've heard those. But Mark Azevedo, I'm honestly, I'm not aware of who that. I'm naive to who that is. So I would have to Google who that is, because off the top of my head, Mark Azevedo, I'm not sure who that is. Just to be straight up with you. He said, all of them are in the front office and have jobs I routinely see fans assume Harbaugh is solely responsible for. It just doesn't seem accurate. Head coach isn't the most powerful position on the team, and y'all got a whole front office to be mad at for keeping Harbaugh. So where is that same energy? Oh, I've seen a lot of that energy from people over the years towards EDC too. A whole lot of it, but mainly towards Harbaugh. And I think it's mainly towards Harbaugh because EDC has done a pretty good job of assembling the team. And again, like I said earlier, Harbaugh has done a good job overall of running the team. But he's obviously, he's in charge of a lot. EDC constructs the team. Harbaugh runs it when they on the field and stuff, like for the games and all that. So the reason that so much is directed towards John Harbaugh is because he's been that consistent. He's been the person that's been around in the same position for a long time, since 2008. So much has changed because remember before it was Ozzie Newsome as GM, now it's Eric DeCosta. We've seen a lot of different offensive and defensive coordinators come on, this coach, that coach, this person in the front office, this person on the staff come and go. We've seen a lot of that change, but the reason that so much gets directed at Harbaugh is because he has been the one thing that has been consistent since 2008. Oh my goodness, we started off with such a great, powerful question from Mars Rose that he almost made me forget that I got to let y'all know about this powerful, great sale from Heart of the City. They are having a blowout sale where everything is on a discounted price. And get this, because they love taking care of y'all so much, because they love Team Keep It Clean so much, to get things that are already discounted at an even bigger discount, you can use code Ingraven for an extra 20% off at Heart of the City. The link is in the description. I know you're going to use it. I know you're going to hit up their website, and I know you're going to go crazy with this blowout sale, because I know I did. Next question came from my guy, Jay Fiah. He said, hey, Ingraven, your boy Jay Fiah here. Hope you and the family are doing splendidly and glad to see you in better spirits since our loss. I felt you when you posted the video about being a hater on the Bills. He said, I got a coworker that's a Bills fan. I remember you told us about him. I wish our response to him could have ended better with the Ravens winning, but Bills still lost, so you could get to talking trash all over again. Anyway, he said, I have a coworker who's a Bills fan, and this man was talking trash to me in the first quarter. Can you believe that? He got real silent on that last drive, though, but then after the game, he was texting me all this stuff about Lamar being a regular season quarterback and a choke artist. Then I saw a quote from a Bills player who said that after the loss, our 9 Pro Bowlers could go to Hawaii. See, if you're going to say something like that, put your name on it. Because I saw that quote flying around and it said from an anonymous Bill player. It's like, if you're going to say that, like, put your name on it. You just won the game. Speak on it, baby. But anyway, he said, when the Chiefs got that first down, I was grinning from ear to ear. Now them 2 Pro Bowlers, if they even have that many, that they got can head over to Hawaii with us too. Them boys on the facility is goofy too, because they were talking about how the coaches failed Josh and how great he is. But I never heard them talk about this season, how this season is a waste for Josh Allen because he didn't win the Super Bowl. Goofy. That's a good point. You know how the media is with Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. You already know what time it is. Anyway, he said, now that I got that off my chest, I wanted to I wanted to give my opinion on John Harbaugh. Oh, okay. Hey, this lines up perfectly with what my guy Mars Rose. Anyway, he said, I feel you when you say you would be open to moving on from Harbaugh. I'm a big Harbaugh fan because I think he has always been good at helping us be resilient. He has been. Harbaugh's back's against the wall. Harbaugh, he'll bring the best out of them guys, especially when their back's against the wall. If they looking like, oh man, if they healthy too, they getting ready to be eliminated from the playoffs, Harbaugh will go on a crazy run with the Ravens and they just start doing all this crazy stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, we back, baby. We back. So, yeah, I get that to him for sure. He said, I think the Ravens in the Harbaugh era have been at their best when they are underdogs. He knows how to motivate. However, we have seen similar results these past few years, and I, too, wonder if a different voice and mindset would be good to capitalize on the talent we have. I agree with that. And it's just something that you think about. He said, the challenge I think the Ravens front office has is that we are always right there. And they could be thinking, we don't want to blow this thing up and bring in someone new that might mess with it. That's the frustrating part. And that's the tricky part. They are right there. They be so close, but they stuck. They still seem stuck. That's the crazy part about it, man. So I get exactly what you're coming from. And again, this goes back to my guy Mars' question too. I understand exactly where he was coming from too. Because, yeah, you think about it like, man, we right there. You don't want to just blow the whole thing up and start over. But at the same time, how do you move forward? How do you move forward? But anyway, he said, I think at some point they're going to have to ask themselves, are we okay with being almost good enough? If we were to hire a new head coach, would you want it to be an offensive or defensive-minded guy? And do you think they should look outside of their current staff? If they were to bring in a head coach, yeah, I would say probably somebody outside the current staff. Only, would it go with Todd Monken? Possibly. Maybe. I don't know. Would Todd Monken be the biggest breath of fresh air? He could be because, honestly, and not saying that they should just hire anybody, but anybody would be fresh air, a breath of fresh air, because the Ravens ain't had a new head coach since 2008. Obviously, Harbaugh been running the show since then. That's a long time. That's excellent. Like when Harbaugh filling out job applications, he like, oh, I've been at my previous place of employment for 17 years. Woo, boy, that's a long time, man. But as far, would it be offensive or defensive minded? Before I would say offensive minded, but then we had the second, because I was like, man, these Ravens, I really want to see them bring out the best in Lamar Jackson. But then I saw this team this last year. I said, oh my goodness, 41-4, and that, oh boy, with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. Like, imagine if they even got somebody. But anyway, I guess I'll probably go offensive. I'll probably go offensive minded, just to really like turn up this offense that much more. But he said, personally, I would be down for an offensive-minded guy who knows how to build a staff. I think we could go with a Sean McVay type of guy who's going to be creative and use the weapons he has. Oh, you know what? That brings out a really good point. I think another reason, just to piggyback off of what you said, to bring in an offensive guy is just to make sure we capitalize on what's working and don't forget about it. Because while, again, this is not what cost the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs, but a lot of times they will forget about what's working. They will forget about Derrick Henry. They'll forget about, hey, there was games where Zay Flowers was going off, and then the second half he would just be quiet. You wouldn't hear Pete from him anymore. It's like, whoa, what's happening? What's going on with this? So I would say an offensive guy because, yeah, he could be creative. He could design some plays and whatnot. He could help out. But he can still have an offensive coordinator too now. But he could chip in. I mean, he could chip in on both sides of the ball, really. But I would say offensive guy just to really capitalize and just really and have that killer instinct mentality consistently. Put teams away. And just somebody that really just be destructive in a good way for the Baltimore Ravens on offense towards other teams, of course. Anyway, he said, well, thanks for all you do. And just like them Buffalo Bills off in the playoffs, I'm out.